Want to achieve your dream goal? Listen to the tips from the guy who made it happen to himself. I dropped 70 pounds going from a 4X to a 1X in 4 years. I went from 10K to 6 figures without a college degree. You too can get the goals you set. It's time to live your best life now. I'm your host, Tony Woodall, and welcome to Goal Getting Podcast. Hello, goal getters. This is Tony Woodall, your host with Goal Getting Podcast. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at goalgettingbook.com, where there's over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or other MP3 player. Thank you and enjoy the show.
190 days after triple bypass open heart surgery, I ran my first 5K.
Hello, goal getters. This is Tony Woodall, your host for the show today. I'd like to let you know that we're going to have a special guest. That clip you heard was from Butch Bellah, our guest today, who is going to talk to us about the 10 essential habits for sales superstars and how to use habits to get the goals you set. Butch's clip talks about his amazing 5K that he ran 180 days after his triple bypass surgery. We'll find out more about that in the interview here with Butch. We're also going to be putting all the information from the interview on our show notes page at goalgettingpodcast.com/Butch, B-U-T-C-H. So you'll be able to go connect there. And then also Butch has a special gift for you as a listener of Goal Getting Podcast. You will be able to find out about that later in the show. And we also want to let you know that we have some podcast upgrades for you. We'll put together, a good portion of the show in show notes, but also a downloadable podcast upgrade on our upgrades page, goalgettingpodcast.com/upgrades. You'll be able to pick that up there. And then I also want to let you know that I'll talk with you after the show, after we get finished talking with Butch. So enjoy this episode. It was a live recording that we did. We did a joint Periscope, so you'll hear us interacting with Periscope viewers while we're doing the show. So it was kind of fun. And, keep an eye out for me on Periscope. You can follow at Goals Podcast on Periscope. If you're not familiar with it, let me know and we'll let you know. Anyhow, this is Tony Woodall, your host. So let's go listen to Butch and have a great show. Good morning, everybody. This is Tony Woodall with Goal Getting Podcast. And today we are doing a live interview for the podcast that will air later on the podcast, but we've got our special guest today, Mr. Butch Bellah. Did I pronounce that right, Butch?
You did exactly right.
Great, and we want to welcome you to the show today. Today, we are going to be speaking with Butch. He is a master sales trainer, and I'll let him tell us a little bit about what he does here in just a moment, but I'm going to tap this thing and see if I can, there I go. I'm here, whoops, on Periscope. So hi, everybody. This is Tony Woodall.
Give Tony some hearts, too.
Yeah, give me some hearts, too, if you're out there.
Show him some love.
Now, we're doing a double broadcast here, I believe, on the show. Butch is doing a Periscope from his end. I'm doing a Periscope from my end. This is a first for me. I don't know about you, Butch, but this is a first for me to do a double Periscope. And my second live interview, but the first time on Skype, I actually did a live interview, literally with somebody sitting next to me before. So we want to welcome everybody on Periscope, and we'll go back and forth. Thanks for the hearts there. We're going to go back and forth, and we're going to be talking to Butch today about, goal setting and, what his career is, how he does it. And again, the purpose of Goal Getting Podcast is to help you set and get the goals that you set. So we want to share with you experts in certain fields that you may be working in that can assist you in achieving your goals and setting them correctly. And Butch is an expert in sales, but he's also an expert in goal setting and goal achievement because he has achieved some phenomenal goals throughout his life. So we want to make sure that we talk to you about that. So, Butch, I'm going to turn it over for you. Tell us about yourself and a little bit about what you do. Just fill us in a little bit.
Sure. I be 50 years old this year. I started my career. I've got 3 weeks of college under my belt. I tell everybody my sophomore week almost killed me. And I got lucky enough. I was blessed enough to go to work for a gentleman that never held that against me, that always said you can, take on as much responsibility as you can handle. And I climbed the corporate ladder was in the wholesale distribution business at 21 years old. And Tony, I got hired into a point where I had to get promoted 3 times before I could see the ladder. So I didn't start on the ladder. I was climbing the rungs. And so we had an opportunity to advance there. At 25, I was division sales manager. At 30, I was vice president of sales. And at 35, I bought the company to the business partner. We had grown it from about $35 million a year to about $250 million a year in sales. And made an acquisition of the company then. Spent another 3 or 4 years there. Left that company, and then I've had my own training and development company, working with salespeople, with organizations, helping them get more appointments, gain more business, and retain more customers since then.
Excellent. That's phenomenal. And you have some great stories to tell about goal setting, and what, are some of those stories. You were telling me about a health issue that you had recently.
Well, not as recently. It was 6 years ago in May. I was 43 years old, and I decided January of that year, I decided to quit smoking. And it's not necessarily a goal, but I figured out how to do things like that. I made the decision that I was going to quit. And I think once you make a decision and you really and truly in your heart make that decision, then you don't have to worry about any of the other stuff. It will, they say the universe conspires to make it happen. So as I would, want a cigarette, or as I would have cravings, I'd already decided not to smoke anymore. So success is the same way. When you make a decision to achieve something, don't let the detours become a derail. Okay, so I wasn't going to let a detour derail me from my ultimate goal of being a non-smoker. So I say that to say this. I quit smoking in January of 2009, decided to get healthy, started running. I mean, I wasn't a marathoner. I could, keep a jog going for a mile. I wasn't breaking any records or anything. And went out one Saturday morning and couldn't get in the driveway. It felt like somebody was standing on my throat. And instinctively, it was one of those things you listen to your body, instinctively knew something was wrong. And went back in the house to my wife. Something's going on, having a little chest pain. And make a long story short, got me to the hospital that Monday morning, did the angiogram and so forth, and ended up that Wednesday morning having triple bypass heart surgery at 43 years old. 43, wow. Yeah, and it was one of those things, for people in sales, it was one of those things, if you'd asked me on May 18th, Butch, how would you like triple bypass heart surgery? We got it on sale. I don't want it, I don't need it, I can't afford it. It's the stuff we hear every day. But when they showed me, they said, okay, buddy, you got a 70, 280s, and a 90% blockage. I'm all in. I'm not only do I want it, need it, afford it, I want an expert doing it. And so I'm going through heart surgery. I had a great attitude. My dad had it. My biggest fear was for my family, knowing what they're going to go through in the tense hours of the surgery and so forth. So leading up to the story you alluded to, I'm in cardiac rehab. And if anybody's had a family member, they've been through this before, they send you to cardiac rehab. And literally, Tony, you start on a treadmill, and I am just step. They just want you moving. They don't want you moving fast. And they had me hooked up to all these machines. So I'm in cardiac rehab one morning, and I'll never forget this young man, Dominique, was my physical therapist, my cardiac trainer. And I'm like 30, 40 years younger than everybody else in the room. And he walks up, he said, Butch, what are you in here for? And I said, well, I had heart surgery. And he said, no, what are you in here for? And I said, cardiac rehab? And he said, no, what are you in here for? And all of a sudden it hit me. He was wanting me to set a goal. And I said, and I don't know why I said it. To this day, I really don't know where it came from. I said, I want to run a 5K. And I'll never forget hearing the words he said next. He said, we're not going to let heart surgery stop us. Wow. We're not going to let heart surgery stop us.
Wow, that's amazing.
He used we're and us. Now, it was me and him. It wasn't just me. So I had an accountability partner. And I had, for some reason, set this goal of running a 5K. And now, Tony, I couldn't let him down. And 190 days after triple bypass open heart surgery, I ran my first 5K in 36 minutes and 45 seconds and didn't walk a step of it. And since then, I ended up the next year running 30 plus 5Ks and have run 2 half marathons.
That is fantastic.
It was, to me, the power of what it takes to set a goal. But I also saw the bad side of that. I ran my last half marathon a year ago in April and had back surgery afterwards. I had a cyst on just by my spine, and I couldn't run. Well, I kept eating like I was training and put on probably 40 pounds. So I found out that once you achieve a goal, like crossing that finish line, you cannot let up. Just because you've achieved it, you cannot change the actions that you took to get there. And the first book I wrote is called 10 Essential Habits of Sales Superstars. And I've talked about the fact that I set a goal, but I didn't establish good habits. Yeah. So if you want to achieve a goal, I achieved it the hard way. What I should have been doing was establishing good, solid habits that would have been with me forever. And I'm going back now and redoing it again. I'm down probably 20 pounds in the last month or so, and we're working to get it off again. So
that's great. Yeah, I'm just real excited. You really talked about 3 or 4 different things here that are very important in goal setting and goal achievement. One being accountability partners. And, a lot of people don't realize that when you're setting goals, you have to have an accountability partner. And, having that is very helpful. Now, do you have accountability partners now? Actually, I know the answer to that because we are actually members of a mastermind group together.
Absolutely.
And still believe that is good. So you still believe in accountability partners for things?
Yeah, and I'll tell you a couple of things. Number one, the mastermind group, as you alluded to, the community that we're in, is a phenomenal accountability partner for me. Here's something that I found when I quit smoking, and everybody listening to your show, Tony, can do this. Once they whether it's a financial achievement, whether it's a physical achievement, emotional achievement, whatever it is, quit hiding behind the mask. Let the world in, because here's the thing: the world wants to help you achieve your goal. Now, there may be some people that that want to make fun of it or what. Guess what? You don't need those people in your life. If they're not pulling for you, they're pulling against you. When I quit smoking, and I didn't know what I was doing, this was strictly by accident. I quit January 1st. On like January 5th, my status update on Facebook was Butch is celebrating 4 days without a cigarette. Uh-huh. And it was almost as a joke. And all of a sudden I got like. And I'm thinking, wow, these people they're in it. So then Butch is celebrating 12 days without a cigarette. And I had people start saying, man, you got this. You're motivating me. I'm going to quit. And I had a whole accountability network. Mm-hmm. And now I wasn't just trying to quit for me. I'm trying to quit for them too. I couldn't let them down. Right. And so by putting myself out there and making this public, I had a whole bunch of people, not only as an accountability partner, but as a cheering squad when I would reach another level or another step toward that goal. And I literally did that for almost a year. It was because it got to be a running joke. I would find ways, I'm celebrating 246 days by drinking a bottle of booze under a bridge with a hobo or something. I mean, it was just, I'd come up with crazy stuff. And people would go, man, you've got this. What an inspirational deal. I took people on the journey with me. Mm-hmm. And I would suggest, whether it is friends, family, your social media, put it out there. As I told you, I'm on a trek to lose weight again. I'm posting updates on Facebook, and people are going, man, you're killing this. You got it now. And I've had people that say, you're inspiring me to want to do it. And it's so important in our lives that we reach out and not only do things for ourselves, but when you can get some satisfaction and you can get some traction out of not only accomplishing your goal, but inspiring and bringing others with you, that when you pull people along, it doesn't create drag, it creates momentum.
Exactly.
And you're taking people with you on that journey.
That's great. Yeah, and Rock Resume on Periscope here said, it's the power of community, and that is true. You've got to have a good community. You've got to have, that backing, and you got to find people who are of like mind to be able to share that with, and follow you and be an accountability partner with you. So you've done a great job with that.
Yeah.
And I can imagine you being a fantastic accountability partner. So I'm on a weight loss thing myself, so maybe we need to work together on something.
Yeah, I just post it, and we'll just keep you honest.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Yeah, and you brought up a couple other things that are important with goal setting. You set your goals, you get an accountability partner, and then you celebrate the small achievements, and that is really key. Most people don't realize that. And that's one of our 9 steps to successful goal achievement is reward yourself, because you have to keep that motivation. You have to keep that, goal going and that thought going. So we highly recommend that you reward yourself. And that's what, it sounds like you do, going out, have a bottle of booze with the hobo. I like that one. That's
those are jokes.
No, I know, but
you're exactly right. You call them. I call them mile markers.
Exactly.
And in my first book, I alluded to the 10 essential habits of sales superstars. Habit number 4 is write your goals down and read them 10 times a day. Now, here's the thing that gets me is the average person. Only about 3% of the population has written goals, and it is proven that those 3% of the people achieve far more than the other 97%. And I get people all the time when I speak or train or whatever. Are you one of them guys that believes in sticking the thing on your bathroom mirror? Yeah, I am.
Absolutely.
Sir Richard Branson does it. Oprah Winfrey says she did it. But guess what? Those people's bathroom is bigger than our house. So I'm all in on that deal. Okay, they don't have to hit me in the head with it.
That's right. But we're doing great. And folks, this is a monumental occasion for me because I've never done a double Periscope plus a Skype interview all at the same time. We're recording for Goal Getting Podcast, future episode here in August. Towards the end of August, you can catch us on goalgettingpodcast.com. We will have Butch's episode up there. It'll be goalgettingpodcast.com/Butch when we get there, and Butch will be in lowercase, but we'll have that up there for you when we get finished with that. Thank you, Rock Resume, for the Rock. Yeah, I can't read the little letters there, but I think it's Rock Resumes. You know who I'm talking about. Thank you very much for the. She said we're doing a great job, so everything's working good. Now, Butch, you brought up a couple points I want to bring in about habits. Habits are very important. We have to set good habits, and we talk about that. I rock resumes. Thank you, Rock. We have to have good habits to get through things successfully.
Correct.
And habits, whether they're good or bad, can affect how successful we are. So do you have a habit that you follow day to day that keeps you going now on your road to success, or one that got you to where you're at?
Absolutely. I've got several. And I'll tell you one of the things I believe about habits, and all your listeners that follow your show and everybody, and if they've heard me speak, they've heard me say this. We've all heard our whole life it takes 21 days or 60 days to establish a habit. That is total garbage. I told you I quit smoking January 1st, 2009. If I were to have a cigarette right now, I'd have a carton before this interview is over, and then I'd have to lay in the corner and let the nicotine high go away. So it's not going to take me 21 days to establish a habit. It takes 21 days to establish a good habit. The problem we have, Tony, is that the bad habits sneak up on us every day, and they become habits without us knowing they're habits. That's the problem. And we all of a sudden, our whole life is out of balance. We're doing things we didn't even know we're doing. It's like a golfer that gets kind of a hitch in his swing, and he's not even noticing it's happening because it's become part of his everyday life. Some of the things I do daily, I read my goals every day. They're on a board right here. I wish you could see them. I have my goals written on my board that I wrote January 1st, all right, for my annual goals. The other thing that I do daily is I read every single day. I'm reading something. I read 30 minutes a day minimum. Right now, we're reading the book Essentialism in our mastermind group that you and I are part of. I'm also reading, a couple of other books. I listen to podcasts. One of the things that I try to do every single day is feed my mind positive material. There's enough negative stuff going on in this world. We would all love to stop ISIS and end third world hunger and stop all the wars and all the bad things happening in this world. Instead of us focusing on what we can't do, I want to focus on what I can do. And I tell people, don't worry about changing the world, change your world. So every day I try to do something to change my world.
Excellent. That's A. Halsey said he's reading the same book in his mastermind group as well. So
excellent. Great book.
Good, like minds think alike.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool. Thanks for all the hearts on Periscope. I appreciate it, and appreciate all the folks hanging out here listening to Butch Bellah. Now, Butch, tell us about, you mentioned also visualization on there. That's another key that we talk about in goal achievement and goal getting is you got to have visualization. And, you talked about that. Do you have visualization steps that you follow or a technique that you use? Or?
Absolutely. I think being able to see what you want is important, whether it's a vision board, whether it's just, taking some time every day to mentally quiet your mind, close your eyes and see what you want, visualize. The biggest thing I try to tell people is to put yourself mentally in the position you'll be once you accomplish that goal. Not so much what it will do for you, but how you will feel. Yeah, losing weight or doing this, that, and other is going to, be good for your health. But how will you feel? Because that is much easier to capture in your mind's eye than the benefit of, I'm healthier or, this, that, and the other. But you know what? How will you feel when you can put on those, jeans you haven't worn since high school? Or how will you feel when you've made this much money, or that you're salesman of the year, or that you come home and your spouse looks at your commission check and she's just, hugging you around the neck or whatever. Think about how you will feel, because that is a much more powerful emotion than the extraneous benefit that you get.
Mm-hmm. Yep, great. And I rock resume on Periscope saying that she teaches vision board classes, and that's excellent because people need vision board classes. One of the great things with some of the technology that's out there today, I still have my boards up on my wall like you're talking about, and I'm going to switch the camera here for just a second. I have a vision board up on my wall here that I use, and I've got my goals up there as well and everything. And but with today's technology, I think Pinterest is a perfect tool for that. I'm not a big Pinterest user right now. I'm more of the stick it up here on my wall, but with the new tools that are out there, you can put a vision board on your computer, on your smartphone. You can carry those goals around with you daily and be able to keep that going. So I think that's a phenomenal
I love it.
tool. Yeah. So, and with technology today, it's just amazing what we can do.
But that's a great point, because with Pinterest, you just see something that you want somewhere, just pin it to your vision board and create, everybody's got recipes or they've got places I want to visit or how I want to decorate my house. Create a vision board. That's excellent, Tony, on Pinterest, and just pin things to it that are ultimately one day. I don't want you to say I want, because let me tell you something about goals. And then I talk about this. Habit number 4 in the 10 habits is write your goals down and read them 10 times a day. But here's the thing about written goals. Don't write them down as I want to do this. I want to do it. Write it down as I will do this. And again, you've been through probably with many, many guests, the SMART acronym, so we won't rehash that. No. Write it down as I will. It needs to be in an affirmative that is already either done or that you will do it. No questions asked. Not a hope. I sure wish. Would it be nice? Man, my fingers are crossed. No, I will do this by this date today.
Exactly. The brain works very literally, so you have to tell it exactly what you want.
You got it.
You have to put that in the subconscious mind exactly how you want it. It can't be I wish, because you'll go, well, then it's not that important.
You and I have read some of the same stuff. The subconscious mind does not deal in fact or reason or history. All it knows is what you tell it. Exactly. And I tell people that here this past spring, I had a big speaking engagement coming up, and I was like it's like on the Monday, and on like the Thursday before, I'm getting like this little tingle of a sore throat. And I said, I cannot be sick. I don't need to get sick. And so I'm thinking to myself, I have messed up, because what I should have been saying to myself is I am well. I'm staying well, because I'm putting sick into my subconscious mind. Sure enough, I get a cold and struggle through this speech, with, having a cough drop in my mouth the whole time. So how you talk to yourself, be careful, because you're listening.
Absolutely. There's a great website that I use and go to, and I'm going to recommend it here. It's called tut.com, TUT.com. And their whole philosophy is thoughts become things.
Right.
Think the good things. And, it's a great website. You can go give them, sign up, give them your name, and you can get daily motivational things addressed. It's personal. It's directed directly to you. And I actually look at it, and I don't have any affiliate relationship with them at all. But, the emails that I get are very personal, and I'm going, how do they know that,
Right.
And, sometimes I'm wondering if they're listening in or whatever. But it's very good material. But it is true. You have to think the good things, because what you think about is what you're going to be. and what's going to happen. Thoughts do become things.
And once you set that goal, go ahead and let yourself accept the fact and believe the fact that it's achieved.
Yes.
Because here's the thing, Tony, you're in San Francisco, I'm in Dallas. If I decided right now to drive to San Francisco, I could get there. Now, I'm probably going to run out of gas, have to stop for gas. I'm probably going to stop to rest, but I'm not going to turn around and come home. Mm-hmm. I'm probably going to have to maybe change a flat tire, but I'm not going to turn around and come home. I may get to Salt Lake City or wherever is between here and there, and the road's closed. Does that mean I'm going to turn around and come home? No, I'm going to find a way around it because I have set my destination. Folks, setting a goal is like setting a GPS. But let me tell you what your GPS does. It doesn't tell me, Butch, when you get to Tony's Street, you're going to take a left and whatever. No, it just tells me the first thing I need to take a left out of your driveway. So once you set that goal, think of it as setting a destination in a GPS, whether it's financial, physical, whatever it is. You've set that destination. You have your personal GPS set, your goal positioning system, okay? You've got it set. All you got to do is just follow it and let it take you where you want to go, but never let a detour become a derail.
Absolutely, absolutely. A. Halsey was just on Periscope said that goals without writing them down are just dreams, and that's
exactly right.
It's just a wish at that point. That's why most people don't achieve New Year's resolutions because they never write them down. They just say, "Oh, I think I'm going to do that." And
I wrote a blog post. I think it's on LinkedIn. I can't remember if I posted it to my website or LinkedIn recently about written goals. And I talk about I have a to-do list. Well, if I can't remember what I'm supposed to do today or that my wife wants me to get milk at the store, how do you think I'm going to have my brain remember what I want to do for the next year, 3 years, 5 years? And I know a lot of people look at short-term goals. I want to be salesman of the month. I want to lose 20 pounds by Christmas or whatever. What do you want to do with your life? Where do you want to be in 3 years or 5 years? Take some time to sit down and plan some long-term goals. Because let me tell you something. As the old saying goes, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. Mm-hmm. So take some time, not just for short-term goals, but for long-term goals.
Excellent. And I totally agree with that. Now, we're going to take a little detour here and talk about quotes. Do you have a quote that hangs on your wall that keeps you going? I do a daily quote of the day on Goal Getting Podcast, and I like to share those from our guests on that particular session. And do you have a goal that, like I said, keeps you motivated, helps you stay inspired on your way?
I do, actually. And it's one that I use when I speak. And I think it's applicable to what we're doing here today. Mother Theresa said, "I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the water to create many ripples." And Tony, I think the work you do, the work I do, we're just creating ripples. I will probably never meet IROC resumes. But if I can make some sort of ripple that influences them to influence somebody else, that makes a difference in someone else's life, I think that's what God put us on this earth for, is just to make ripples. I don't know that you or I, either one, are supposed to know how that ripple ultimately will end up. We just are supposed to cast the stone out there to start the ripple.
It's inspiring in itself. Just listen to that. It's a great quote, and I appreciate that. And IROC says, "I bless you for that." Yes. And by the way, she said she's also in Richardson, Texas. So you guys,
oh wow, we may meet.
You guys may meet. So you might want to, hook up on Twitter or whatever.
Yeah, I'm at Sales Power Tips on Twitter.
At Sales Power Tips on Twitter and butchbellah.com. And A. Halsey's in Nashville, right? Right.
My daughter's in Nashville. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I love Nashville. I'm a native Atlantan originally, folks. I live in San Francisco now, but IROC says she will connect with you.
Excellent.
And I think, IROC, I met you sat next to you at Podcast Movement, I believe. That's where I remember that name. So I'm glad we got to meet there, if you're the one I'm thinking about, and I believe it is. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you listening today. Everybody on Periscope and anybody that's listening, I appreciate.
This has kind of been fun doing the dual deals here. It really is. You kind of get immediate feedback. And you know what? Here's the thing. It's almost like that accountability partner. These people on Periscope giving you those hearts and showing you that love. That is an accountability partner.
It is. And A. Halsey just asked, did I meet Big Aaron Walker? Actually, I did meet Big Aaron Walker, and
hang on,
Butch and I are part of his
it's not
community.
Aaron,
So.
it's Aaron.
It's Aaron Walker.
Yeah.
And Butch and I are part of Aaron's the community mastermind group. So, hey, Halsey, you must know Aaron.
Love Aaron.
In Nashville.
Great guy.
And so glad you mentioned that. But, just say Big A. It's safer, he says. Yep, that is true. I like that. And he is big. He's, I'm short. So, Eddie Halsey's in the community as well. Well, thanks for listening. Glad to have you on the show today. And we'll have to connect on the community a little bit as well. So, Butch, I've got one last question, I think, that a main one, or actually a couple, but we want to get into these because we want to respect your time. And one of the things that I want to ask is, we all read, and you talked about being a voracious reader. And what book would you recommend for somebody that's trying to achieve their goals, whether it's in sales? Now, you got a bunch of books, and I'm going to recommend that they read all of those. But what book, has helped you along the way to, achieving your success?
It was, and you've probably had plenty of people say it, but I think there's a couple. See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar. Anything that Zig Ziglar wrote, if you can get your hands on it, read it. See You at the Top, I read when I was probably 18, 19 years old, and it had a phenomenal impact on me. I was blessed enough to get to meet Zig a couple of times before he passed away. I know Tom now. I go to the Ziglar Corporation on Monday mornings for their Monday morning devotional, and I've gotten to speak there a couple of times. So that I've really just loved that relationship. That's one. Another one is probably not one that's on a lot of people's radar screen, but if you're in sales, How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling by Frank Betcher.
Yeah, that's one of the first books I ever read.
Let me tell you something.
Sales field. That is a phenomenal book.
Written in the 40s or 50s, and you can tell because they've never updated the verbiage or how he talks or how the book was written. So you can tell the verbiage it was written in, but it is such an inspirational book for anyone, whether you're in sales or not, to see how this man really changed his whole life. And he was able to, it's almost like you relive the story every time you read it. I've read it probably 10 times in my life, and it's like watching a good, heart-tugging Christmas movie every Christmas. And I love reading that book. So.
Yeah, that's great. I still have that book on my bookshelf here. I've carried that since I was a kid.
Exactly. Yeah.
Still have that book, and it's amazing. You're actually the first person that I've interviewed that has actually mentioned that book. But
super.
It has followed me from when I was like 19 as well. Yeah. Still have that book.
And his name is spelled Bettger, Frank Betcher. It's available at Amazon and all the places. It's so worth the read, and it's an easy read.
Yep. I'll put a link on our show notes at goalgettingpodcast&Butch for that book, because again, that is one that, like I said, it really put me on my road to success. Yeah. That and The Magic of Thinking Big by Dr. David Schwartz were the two that I first read, and those just made me think I needed to go into the way that I am now. So.
Yeah, there's a video floating around right now, Tony, that your listeners can probably find on YouTube or somewhere else. I don't know the quote verbatim, but I just saw it yesterday, and it was one of those things that you go, wow. Jim Carrey is famous for goals, and he, you've probably had guests tell the story of him writing himself the $10 million check and so forth. He spoke at a commencement exercise for a university. I don't know which one here recently. It's on YouTube. Just Google Jim Carrey commencement speech. And he had a quote there, and I wish I could say it verbatim, but he talked about his dad had a job that he really didn't like, but he did it because he tried, played it safe. And he says, and I hope I get this close to right, but people will go watch it. It's a couple-minute clip on YouTube. He says, one thing I learned from my dad was that you can fail at something you don't like. So you might as well go for something you love.
Oh, cool! And
I thought, wow, how powerful is that?
That is really powerful, and resonates with me right now. Some decisions I'm making in my life, so that is phenomenal. But yeah, I love Jim Carrey. He's hilariously funny. He's one of my favorite comedians. But you never would attribute something or somebody like Jim Carrey, in my opinion, to being a goal setter. But you don't get to be where you're at in his realm without being a goal setter. Right. And I think that's attributable to, his mentality about goals. So that's excellent. Butch, I want to thank you. I've got one last thing before we let you go.
Well, let me do something for your listeners too, because I know when we were doing this, I had my project manager. There is my book, you'd think I would have a copy of it. I think I've got one somewhere here. Is, I don't know if you can see it, the 10 Essential Habits of Sales Superstars, plugging into the power of 10. It is 10 habits. We talked about habits, and this is 10 habits everybody needs to adopt, whether you're in sales, whether you're in business, whatever you do. It is 10 very basic habits. If you'll do these, they'll lead you to success. Mm-hmm. Habit number 4 is writing those goals down and reading them. But I have got a free digital download for your listeners at butchbellah.com/goalgetting. And it's BUTCHBELLAH.com/goalgetting. And just go in there and you can download a PDF version of my book absolutely free. And I hope that there is a nugget in there. I hope that creates a ripple for somebody out there.
I think that will. So again, tell us about, that's just one of your books. You have other books, I believe, as well, and you have services that you provide. Tell us a little bit about that.
Exactly. I've got, I just finished, and it'll be out October 5th, my first major release with John Wiley & Sons, Sales Management for Dummies. And it was, I went back over 30 years of managing salespeople, building sales teams, to write that book. I'm a speaker. I'm a sales coach, a sales trainer. So I do all of that. I can help and work with pretty much anybody. I've worked with a young lady here recently that was a photographer that was struggling in her business to ask for the money and to get people. She had one of those deals, and a lot of people get into this, Tony, where they're in a business or they're wanting to start a business and everybody wants them to do it for free. And I tell people, as long as you'll work for free, somebody's going to let you. And there comes a time where you got to start asking for the money. And so it was so I've worked with people in all realms, not just people that are out day to day, what my boss used to say, B2B sales, belly to belly, So I've worked with people in all realms of helping them accomplish things through good techniques, habits, and strategies that are based in sales. Because everybody's a salesman. Let me tell you something. If you're a plumber, your business will more than likely fail, not because you're a bad plumber, but because you're not good at sales and marketing.
Yep, exactly. Hey, Halsey asked, what's your Twitter handle one more time?
At Sales Power Tips. SalesPowerTips. Okay,
so at Sales Power Tips. So
yeah, and it's Butch Bellah, Bellah. A lot of people leave the H out. I think I even own the domain for without the H. Now, it'll probably direct you to the right place.
Anyway, Butch, Sales Management for Dummies coming out. Right.
Comes out October 5th. You can pre-order it at my website. Taking some pre-orders now. You get a discount on it since we're pre-ordering it. If you go to store at my website, I've got really a video, the DVD download that would be applicable to your folks called The Game of Sales. And GAME stands for goals, attitude, motivation, and education. And you always hear people talk about, boy, he's got game, or she's got game, or man, he's really on his game. You can take somebody that has phenomenal sales skills, great product knowledge, but if they don't have goals, if their attitude is horrible, if they're not motivated, they don't continually educate themselves through things like listening to podcasts, reading, soaking up good information, they're going to fail. But you give me somebody that does have game and sales skills, we can teach them product knowledge. You take somebody with product knowledge and game, we can teach them sales skills. So that is a DVD download that's available at it's about a 40-minute recording of how to set goals, get your attitude right, stay motivated, and continue to educate yourself. And I know we're running short of time here. I want to respect your time too, but I tell a story when I speak about my heart surgery and about how important it is to continually educate yourself. My surgeon was 62 years old, Tony, the day he did my surgery. Mm-hmm. And I tell people, I said, now, do you think I hope that he had quit learning when he got out of college? Yeah. I mean, I wanted him Googling stuff on the way home the night before, okay? If there was a breakthrough in heart surgery the night before, I wanted it the next morning, So let me tell you something, folks. If you take nothing away from this, never, ever stop learning and growing.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And Halsey made some great comments about motivation and goals equals success. And again, folks on Periscope, I appreciate you hanging around today.
What a great time. What a great way to start a weekend, Tony.
It is, isn't it? I mean, you can get up bright and early and get motivated to get your day started and your weekend started. This is great. And so much fun talking and seeing everybody. So I do appreciate your time, Butch. Thank you so much for the great power tips that you have given us today about goal setting and sales. because it's all the same thing in some respects. We have
Absolutely.
to do both. And again, I'm glad you're part of our community that we were in, and this has been fun. Let's keep it going and maybe do this again sometime.
You just let me know, brother. I'll be there anytime you need me.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Butch, thank you, and we'll chat with y'all later.
Hello, goal getters. Man, that was a great interview with Butch. We had fun periscoping and communicating with the people that were on Periscope. I want to thank you for listening. You mean so much to me to be coming here, spending your time listening to our show, and it really does mean a lot to me. If you have a goal to improve your sales, increase your business, grow your business, Butch is an excellent teacher, trainer, and an inspiration for people that are overcoming obstacles. And Butch is one that can share with you, how to get those 10 habits to superstardom for salespeople. So check out Butch when you get a chance. And I want you to know we're also now on Jabbercast. Jabbercast is a new app that we're on. It's the best way to listen and enjoy your favorite podcast. So if you want to check out our show on Jabbercast, you can go to jabbercast.com and download it for iOS. It's only an iOS app at the moment, but it is a phenomenal application. You can download it from the Apple Store and App Store, and you'll be able to get that. But just go check out Jabbercast. We love Jabbercast. We're out there with podcasts like Serial and This American Life, among others. Great podcast out there. So we're sharing our app with those guys, and we want you to show us, that, come out there and see what we're doing on Jabbercast. And if you listen to podcasts, you'll love their app. So anyhow, I want to thank you very much. It's a wonderful day. I want to thank Butch for joining us and providing us with some great value. And I want you to, come back and listen to us again. Next week, I'm going to be talking about how my passion helped me get the goals I set. And I have a new role at my company that I work at that I've been wanting, but you'll have to find out more about it next week. And passion can help you get the goals that you set. So have a great week. Thank you so much for listening to us on Goal Getting Podcast. This is Tony Woodall. We'll see you next week.